Again, the first step to a good installation is to prepare the walls for the siding. As with any cladding, it's important to start with a good flat surface. So if you're going to be re-siding a home with Celect and wish to install it over the existing wood siding, you'll first need to install some type of a wall leveling system like this, like a fan-fold foam. Of course, before the installation takes place, make certain that any rotten areas are repaired. In any event, a water-resistive barrier is required under Celect, along with code-compliant flashings around windows, doors, roof lines, areas like that. Now that we've installed the barrier, there are two more steps in preparing the walls. First, we'll install furring strips for the trim, and we'll install these strips for everything but the inside corner. It's the only piece of trim that actually goes on prior to the siding. These furring strips are important because they allow you to bump out the trim to create the necessary pocket for the siding panels. And of course, these pockets are essential because remember the fundamental principle of PVC. It expands when it gets warm, it contracts whenever it gets cold. It really doesn't matter what you use to fasten these pieces with. We're just trying to hold them in place until the trim goes on later. It's important to note that if your window trim will only include a sill nose under the window, the furring strip will need to be ripped to 3/4 of an inch wide so it will be hidden under the sill when the trim is complete. Before you put the furring above the window, you need to first install a piece of head flashing. Now there's a lot of different ways to do this. First and foremost, we recommend that you contact your local building code officials and see if there's anything specific to your area. This is the most common method though. This is just a piece of Z flashing. And a couple important things here. First of all, make sure that your flashing is tall enough that it'll go up beyond what the furring strip's going to do. Secondly, I'm going to place my flashing behind my paper. That way the water will shed properly. And now I'm ready to install my furring strip. At the outside corners, just line the furring strips up so their inside corners touch. As I said before, the one trim piece that actually goes on prior to the siding is the inside corner post. Now we're going to fasten the inside corner post by driving screws in through the pocket into the wall. We suggest using 3-inch deck screws or Cortex screws for this. And when you hold this into place, it's pretty easy to see how it could rack one way or the other, which would not be a good thing because it would tighten up against the siding. The best way to take care of that really is just use a piece of 1x scrap as a gauge, and then you can drive your screws in. Fasten the inside corner about every 16 inches or so. And if you need more than one length of inside corner, create a scarf joint and glue them together with PVC cement. The last thing that we need to do before we can start installing some siding is to install the siding starter strip. And in order to do that, we first need to strike a reference line for the strip. Now in most cases, the starter strip should be level along the entire wall, and it's always best to try to start on the lowest wall. Now to determine where this starter strip actually should end up, we want to measure 3 inches up from where we want the bottom of the siding to be. Try to keep the ends of the starter strip about 1 inch from your furring strips. Hold the top of the star strip to the line, and then fasten about every 8 to 12 inches. Now we're ready for some siding.